Alright, so today we're going to talk about the SVS SB-16 Ultra subwoofer. So I guess we'll take a look at my overall stereo system here, and that's right, it's a stereo system. So I have a Yamaha R-N602 receiver. I get all of my audio signals come into the TV and then go through optical into the receiver, and it seems to work pretty good like that. You might cry or cringe about it, but it seems to work. It's probably not the highest audio quality possible, but hey, that's not what I'm looking for necessarily. Looking for ease of use as well. So I've got Paradigm Studio Reference 40 version 4s. They're sitting on some pedestals. They're actually, these pedestals are filled with lead for whatever reason, the guy that made them. And so I got the TV and the sub. So I had a little 100-watt sub, and it was actually working pretty good. This room here is about 15 by 25, something like that, 8 feet tall, with popcorn ceiling. Then suspended wood floor underneath. But that little guy there needed to be replaced, and I was starting to hunt around, wondering what to buy. And I found the SVS line of subs. Well, this one in particular is pretty good. They've been having some trouble with some of their newer, smaller models making some buzzing noises. But anyway, this one has DSP, and it has an app to control it. And it could be kind of gimmicky to some people, but if you didn't have that, or even with this sub, you could buy a mini DSP to control the sub. And that would be another solution for controlling settings and also changing the parametric equalizer. I went with the SB, which is a sealed model, because I wanted to listen to music, and it seemed like it had a better bass response than the PB16. It's quieter, but it seems like it's got a better response. Pardon me, maybe with using the DSP you could flatten it and it wouldn't matter between the two speakers, but I don't know, that's kind of beyond what I'm trying to do. So again, I picked this one over some of the other boutique kind of brands because it had the DSP and everything built in. You just plug it in and it works. Although you do need to buy feet for it. I guess the only reason you wouldn't buy feet is if it made it too tall, or if you were on concrete. In those cases, I guess they don't provide a good result for the buyer. Then I bought their cable. I think their sub cable, the shortest one they make, might be 10 feet long. It's actually a pretty tidy looking thing. So with these speakers, and everything is exposed, so I'm going to look at buying their cables to run my left and right channels. These speakers are bi-wired. They're about 180 watt capable, and I think that amp is 170 watts capable. So with the bi-wiring and being stereo, it maxes out everything quite nicely, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, I'll probably buy their cables. Not that they're going to make it sound any better, other than like the banana clips on these speakers have a tendency to fall off. So when you do buy this, if you're in the US, I think you'd buy it directly from SVS and they just ship it to your house. And in Canada, they have some retailers that sell them. And there you can find them online. You figure out who it is. And again, it gets shipped to your house on a pallet. Or in my case, rather than getting it shipped to the house and left in a snowbank, I had it just dropped off at the depot and picked it up. The SB-16 will fit into a hatchback type vehicle. The PB-16 pretty much needs to go in a full-size van or a pickup truck or something, because it's quite a bit bigger. For moving it, I was able to roll the box. It doesn't sound good, but I couldn't carry the box from here over to the front door. So I had literally dragged the box up the driveway into snow, because snow is nice and slippery. And I was able to get it to the house, and I rolled it up the front steps and then rolled it across the living room over here. And it seemed to survive the travel. It was packed quite well. So I guess we'll take a quick look at the app. One thing I'll mention is that this has 3 presets in it, and you're going to need them. I found that when you're listening to music, you might want to have the volume like not as loud, but want the bass. So you'll turn up the bass on the sub when you're listening to music. You turn up the gain on it. And then when you're watching a movie, you'll probably turn the gain down and crank your amp. And the reason you do that would be that in movies, they're using the bass as more of like an effect than a sound sometimes. So you'll be able to hear the conversation through the side channel speakers or whatever, front center channel. But it'll be at a nice comfortable volume when you're at -30, or if you decide to run it at 0 or whatever you want to run it at. And the bass will be good without being like over annoying. But if you're listening to music, I find that the vocals are just too loud. So that's the reasoning behind that. So that's why it's good to have a couple settings. So when you get the remote, you can have 3 presets in there. And if you want to change the equalizer and stuff, use the app. There's better videos to find out about that stuff. So when you go into here, the first time you want to add the speaker, you'll have to like go into your Bluetooth settings and like pair the thing. And then after you do that, you'll be able to find it in here and you'll be good to go. If you want to save it, you push this up arrow and go save the preset. Like, you don't need to save the fact that you've got the speaker in here, but you need to save the settings. So if you make some significant changes to it and you want it across all 3 of the memories, you would have to save it 3 times. And I didn't notice that in the manual as to how to get to that save position. There's a button here for turning the subwoofer display off and on. And I wish they would get away from the blue. That's kind of kitschy garbage in my mind. It's nicer to have like the white or something like that. Because the blue, you have to be close to it, otherwise you can't read it. Like whatever. It was a fad. Fad's gone. Hopefully they get rid of it. So I've got it set at -12. We're going to listen to some music and movie here in a second. So for low pass filter, I'm just right out of the box. I haven't done anything with it. Like if you use mini DSP or the DSP that's built in here, and you can change things and what have you. In fact, they give you different settings to use than I'm using. Like if you go under their Merlin webpage, it'll tell you what to set your speakers up to based on this, if you have an AVR or a stereo receiver. But I'm happy with this. So if you get involved in some more heated debate, people might tell you to go and buy a boutique sub, and they're probably right. The benefit of buying the SVS sub is that it's a mass-produced product. It's designed by some people in the US, I understand, and then built in China. And there's a bazillion of these things. Not necessarily the SVS SB-16 is not quite as common, but it's still a quite popular sub. It's just because of the size and the expense. They don't sell as many as the smaller ones. But I'm rambling, lost track of thought here. Right, so it's been around for 5 years. It's tried and true. It works. So that's my thoughts about it. Although if some of their smaller subs they've been redesigning, if they've gotten like thousands of units that all have the same problem, that's a bit of an issue on their end because they got to fix them before they ship them out to people. Whereas if you go to a boutique dealer, they're making your sub one at a time. They might do a batch of 30 if they're doing like a pre-sale or something. But realistically, the quality control on those is going to be better in most cases. So you can get them with or without the DSP. Some of those subs are pure analog, depending who you go with. There's a few good options out there, but my location and buying habits and whatever, I decided to go with the SVS, but you don't necessarily need to. Some of the more serious people will use the SVSs for a couple of years, and then they'll get kind of bass greedy and want to go more, and they will upgrade. So I guess I'll put on a song. Hopefully that the microphone in this camera can pick it up. I'm not exactly sure because this thing is like, it's not subsonic, or I guess it is, but it's going to be pretty low bass. So the first song, you probably won't like the music, but that's not the point. The point of this song and this particular mix is that it has some good sustained bass in it. So we'll just go over here and turn it on. So that kind of gives you a feeling for that. So it works good. I don't have any gain or anything in this receiver. It's just what you get is what you get. All my dials are set to neutral. There's no bass boost or anything on it. So when you get past -30, like depending on your signal, like I said, you're going to have too much vocals and not enough bass, in my opinion. So that's why you would have a different setting for music versus movies. And I guess we'll move on to a movie now. This is Godzilla vs. Kong. I think this is a 2021 movie. It's pretty recent. It's got good bass in it. So in case you're not familiar with these characters, there's a monkey and a lizard that have some problem with each other and they keep getting into fights all over the world. I don't know. World's hollow. All kinds of strange things going on. So with this, I'm not really sure how it's getting processed. Like the audio track is True HD 7.1 Atmos, but it's going from my computer in the basement through like a 50-foot HDMI cable into the TV, and the TV is processing it and kicking it out to the receiver via optical. I think optical is limited to channels. I don't know if it's 5.1 possibly. So anyway, somehow the signal is getting in there and it's getting over to this thing. So we'll play this a little bit and then we're going to walk around the house and listen to how the house responds to this. Unaffected is this 100-year-old microwave.
About to breach the valve! Hold on!
I don't know if the bass is over or not. But when the bass is really going, like you go into the bathroom and the door is shaking. You're just shaking the mirror on the door. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about. So there's options. This seems like it's still a good option even though it's a 5-year-old product. It fits nicely in my house. I haven't used a mini DSP or RU or anything to set it up. I just bought it, shoved it in a corner because that's where it fits. And if I'm missing something by not doing any processing, or not processing but analyzing the audio, I don't know. It seems like it works quite fine. If people say that you get nodes or low spots you can't fix unless you have 2 subs, and I've seen the analysis and the signal processing to fix that, and it's true, it works, but you may or may not need to have a second sub. If you're going to, you'd have to either put them in like opposing corners or put them partway down the wall across from each other. So I can do either option realistically, but for the really deep bass it seems to work quite fine anywhere. You just feel it, you don't even know where it's coming from. And for the upper frequency ranges, it's in a song, right? So you may not know whatever exists. You're going to pick up a lot more with this sub that you didn't know was in music compared to a cheaper sub for sure. So it certainly adds to the music experience and to the movie experience as well. So thank you for watching.